Hi, this is Dr. Gale, and I do find that many students have a lot of trouble with this particular assignment in creating a rubric, and it is hard to create rubrics because it's just hard. It's a different way of thinking, and I have to say that when I first learned how to write rubrics, this was about 25 years ago. Um, I swore I'd never create another rubric because it was just so confusing. I didn't know how to do it. And so for years and years and years, I never had a rubric. And then I was forced into creating rubrics because a course I was teaching in a particular university did not have rubrics. And so, and University of Phoenix really doesn't use rubrics. You have to, faculty are encouraged to create them. And I found that if I had a rubric, it was easier for me to grade. It was easier for students because they saw how I was being assessed, how I was assessing their assignment, as well as it was just it was not it was more objective as opposed to subjective. There is some subjectivity in anything that you do. But anyhow, this is just a very brief video that gives you some things to think about and to see what's taking place. So I'm going to use Kirkpatrick because that's the level that I particularly like the best. And so what I also find is that if you create a three-pronged approach to assessment, it's a lot easier because you know what you want them to do to meet. You know what's not going to work, and this is in between. It's just a lot easier in my mind to do a three-pronged approach, although many students will create a four-pronged approach, and that's fine. Now you have to understand this, that when you create a training program evaluation piece, that you don't need to go into great detail. There's absolutely no need to go into detail. You do have to demonstrate your understanding of each of the levels. Now, I'm going to say, as I said, I'm going to use Kirkpatrick. And so there'd be 4 levels. And so these are just at the top, and these basically tell you what's taking place here. And so level 1, you might just simply say reaction. Now you would under reaction, there's 2 different things that are, well, there's a couple of things that are being assessed. And but you demonstrate your understanding of what reaction is. You don't have to write anything about reaction. And you might call it something different, but it's still following the 4 levels of Kirkpatrick. So you might actually say something like this. You might say something like this. Whoops. So under reaction might be trainees' views of the training session. Sorry about that. And you might, I'm just doing this quickly, and I'm not in the most opportune place to do this either. So you might do that. And then you might have this. One, reaction, and maybe it is trainees' views of trainer, because that's what they're basically evaluating. You're evaluating in this. And so you would have that maybe. And then here you would be evaluating possibly anything to do with the training session. Were the objectives met? Objectives were met. Training environment was conducive to learning. Good activities to help in learning, or whatever it is whatever it is you might do. And then maybe your reaction to the trainer, maybe you would say, provided plenty of time for questions, proficient or maybe exemplary understanding of the content and the audience. So basically you would decide what it is that you wanted to get as an evaluation piece about the training session. While this is a training program evaluation, you are first evaluating the training sessions. And so you would do that. And then these were met. And then over here you would say, say it in, what did not work or whatever it might be. And then this would be partially. And then part two, here you're evaluating the learning of the trainee. So it might be that, and you want to make it broad. You don't want to make your training program evaluation so that it is specific to one training session. You want to be able to use the same rubric for any training session you have. So you want to be broad. So you might say, trainee earned between 80 to 100% on post assessments. Maybe that's all you're interested in. Maybe you're interested in trainees demonstrated with 80 to 100% accuracy on all hands on activities, whatever it is, but you want to make it broad. And so that's the type of thing you're going to do when you create the training program evaluation in relation, in this case, to Kirkpatrick. The point is that here is the descriptor of whatever level in whatever training program evaluation format you use. Here is where you demonstrate your understanding of that. And again, you want to be broad. So if you were using Kirkpatrick, levels 1, 2, and 3 are directly, levels 1 and 2 are directly related to the training session. Level 3 is directly related to the performance of the trainee after the training session. And level 4 is, did this meet the program goals? Now, another thing that is required on this assignment is for you to include your program goals. And it's because it's important, it's almost impossible for me to assess whether or not anything makes sense unless I know what your goals are. Because level 4 will be directly related to your program goals. So if your program goal is something like this, the organization will increase production by 25% by March 2019, then you have to determine whether or not this is taking place. That will basically be based on level 3 and the performance of your employee. But if your employee is not able to produce like you want them to, then you have to go back and look at level 1 and 2 to find out what took place. So it's a great method of figuring out what's working, what's not. And as always, if you have any questions at all, just let me know.